it's Splinterverse. In this video I'm going to be sharing my impressions with you of some D&D products that have been sent to me. This is not a full review because I haven't played with any of these in an actual game, but I'm sharing my kind of first impressions as I look through some of the product with you so that you can learn more about the product than just what's on the product page. If you'd like to send something into the channel for consideration, there is a Google form linked in the video description that you can click on and fill out. If it doesn't work for you, just email us and we'll consider your product. We're not guaranteeing we're going to look at everything we receive, but we do like receiving those and considering them for the channel. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, you can do that by buying our book, Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, linked in the video description. You can also buy the products that we discuss in this video by clicking the links in the video description. And please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and stay tuned because we're going to have lots of D&D content coming your way. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a series of supplements from Session Zero Games. Their website is sessionzerogames.com, and that's spelled out ZERO, and that'll also be linked in the description. These supplements are for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. They feature a ton of awesome magic items. In fact, we're going to show 64 out of hundreds of those magic items in this video, so you want to stay tuned all the way to the end to see some of the great magic items. And let me know in the comments which one of the magic items was your favorite, which of these books you might get. A lot of them we're going to look at are class-based magic items, so you're going to have, like the one we're seeing on screen right now is focused on clerics, but they may be able to be used for other classes as well. And there's 7 of those. You can get the Paladin one as pay what you want on DriveThruRPG, and then the other 6 that they've released you can get in a bundle for $30 or $10 each, and some of them are on sale for $9 as of the recording of this video. You can get all of these, of course, on DriveThruRPG, or you can visit their site, sessionzerogames.com. A couple of creators here. We've got Ralph Clark as the author and Rain Tran as the artist. The art is great in these. The first 7 products we're going to look at are focused on print and play PDF, so you can print and play little cards that you can hand to players if they find one of these items or loot one of these items. And then the last item we're going to look at is a book that has magic items and monsters from Session Zero Games. So we'll start here with class-based magic items for clerics. And the first is Armor of the Consecrated. You would think that the Flock of 10 and our establishments dedicated to the pleasure of life would be universally welcomed by all, but such is not the case. Local townships and their zoning laws, or the infernal taxation system, and even rival congregations jealous of our success, are constantly hampering our progress and hindering my journey down the path to the will. It makes one wish for a means to bask in the protection of the gods above and ignore a heathen's misdirected hindrance or indulgence tax. So you've got some flavor text here on these cards, which is fun. This is a +2 half-plate armor that requires attunement. It grants the user a blessed dice as if under the effects of the blessed spell and can be used once per turn. Any spells cast on the wearer of this armor nullifies this dice until no other effects are present. And you'll see the tier numbers on these cards because they've got some direction as to which tier these items are for. So I think tier 1 is like players 1 to 5, tier 2 is 6 to 10, something like that. They explain it, but basically you can use the tiers to kind of figure out, is this an appropriate item for the players in my party. Next we have Bands of Brothers. High Priest Presentuoso was a powerful caster devoted to the gods of Bain-Ard. In order to spread their word upon the land, Presentuoso traveled with his brothers, all mighty fighting men of different classes, to protect him from heathens and disbelievers. Since a dead protector affords no protection at all, he cast on these rings the ability to lay healing hands upon his defenders even at a distance. The more of them who lived, the longer Presentuoso could live. It's a set of 4 rings. Each requires attunement. There's a master ring and 3 additional rings which may be given to any creature. Each must attune to the ring they are given. Any spells the master ring wearer may cast with a range of touch may be cast on anyone other attuned ring wearer within 50 feet, effectively extending the cast range. So you can take like a touch spell, make it transfer to somebody wearing one of these rings. So it's good for, sidekicks and party members. It's a fun one. All right, Candle of Respite. Those who don't comprehend the will of the gods above think only that their daily labor or exploration or combat qualifies as hard work. But we are gifted the glory of our senses. Indulgence and gratification can be just as demanding and exhausting as breaking rocks or breaking heads. For the weary, the divine also exists in solitude and the flickering of light. There can be delight and true refreshment and restoration. So it's a magic candle that requires attunement. When lit, the candle puts out light as a normal candle. Anyone within 10 feet who remains there for a minute is granted the effect of lesser restoration. And the candle burns quickly and can be used 7 times before it is fully consumed. So this is a consumable. It's a cool, flavorful item. Crown of the Favored. This is an artifact that any would deeply desire, including myself, fashioned for a king desirous of great power. It was infused at his command by the clerics of his court with heavenly energy to enhance abilities. Little did his majesty realize that the abilities enhanced were specific to a cleric. Thus, his monarchy became a theocracy literally overnight. Interesting. So these flavor texts give you a little backstory that you can use in your campaign if you want. It's a crown that requires attunement. The wearer of the crown is granted double their proficiency modifier to all religion, medicine, and arcana checks. The wearer gains 1 additional use of their channel divinity, if they have any, and may increase all of their spell DCs for divine spells by 2. And this is a tier 3, so it's quite powerful. But cool. The art in this is awesome. I love all these pictures. Hellproof ring. Fire is the element that warms our homes, destroys vermin and insects who infest our lives and food, and rids us of establishments that are worth more from insurance claims than revenue that does not offset local taxes. It is also the environment and destructive weapon of evil demons who would plague those who live in the light. We must not only use flame for our living purposes, but protect ourselves from those who would turn it against us. It requires attunement. And the user is resistant to fire damage. They may expend a single use of their channel divinity to gain immunity to fire until the end of their next turn and cast the spell Heat Metal as if from a 4th level spell slot. So you can see these items are kind of geared towards clerics because you've got the channel divinity stuff here, but even somebody else, if they attune to it, would at least get resistance to fire damage. So that's cool. And I should point out, I'm just picking kind of 8 random items from these products. Each one of these products has 51 items in it. So I'm not even sharing necessarily the best ones. So if you're liking these, please buy those products. Use the links in the description. It supports the creators. It supports our channel. And like I said, you're going to get 51 items as opposed to just the 8 I'm showing you. All right. The Salvation Sting. I've found that there are more uses for a whip than one might initially imagine. You can, of course, disarm opponents, tame animals, or even add excitement to your visit to the brothel of the 10 for an additional charge, of course. But word has it that a consecrated whip exists that can freeze a foe in his tracks or save a friend from the brink of death. If this is true, it must be mine. I didn't even read this before I put it in the video. So hopefully you guys are cool with that. Anyway, +3 whip, 15-foot range. Attuned users gain proficiency with this whip. Enemies attacked with this whip must make a DC 18 Constitution saving throw or become paralyzed for 1d4 rounds. Friendly creatures attacked with this whip, if they are currently making death saving throws, regain 1 hit point and get advantage on all dice rolled until the end of the next turn. So it's got like a buff and a debuff on it. That's kind of cool. I like when items have that kind of flexibility. Spear of Blazing Judgment. Not all clerics and sect leaders are as open and tolerant as I am. As long as you aren't in opposition to the tenets of sensation and following me towards my fulfillment of glory from the gods above, many are extremely judgmental of those who follow a different path. Granted, so many really deserve judgment, but who has the time? Yet, with the right divine instruments, perhaps such judgments can be made and enforced after all. So it's +4 spear that requires attunement. Deals additional 2d6 fire and 2d6 radiant damage to all enemies on successful strike. The wielder of the spear may cast the spell Hallow 3 times per long rest. When using this ability, either raise the spear above the head for good effects or plunge it into the ground for bad effects, then say the command word. So, kind of cool. You can do some different things with this one. Tier 4, quite powerful. DEIFIC, Respite of the Anointed. It says the advantage of having followers like the Flock of 10 is more than a gestalt of believers in the pleasures of the will. It extends the sight and reach of their exalted leader. It makes the revelation of hidden relics much easier. As they say, teamwork makes the dream work. It's a tabard. Does not require attunement. Once per dawn, the wearer of this tabard may lay down their weapon and sit upon the ground, causing a ghostly red campfire to appear before them. Any who rest beside this fire for 10 minutes are granted healing up to their maximum standard hit points. If used with any other cleric class item, you can shout in defiance once per dawn and heal 50 hit points to all friendly creatures within 60 feet of your current location. See the cleric set item card for details of full class set bonus. So you'll see some like set bonuses throughout these. Maybe not all in this video as much as you would in the product, because again, we're only highlighting 8 out of the 51 that you get when you buy the full product. Alright, that's it for the cleric sample, and again, that's 8 out of 51, so there's a lot more to be found there. Next we have the class-specific items for fighter. They do have names for these, Deck of Fierce Finds, but when you search drive-through, it's under class-specific items. Alright. Or sorry, class-based magic items. Class-based magic items. Alright, Armor of Aggression. While anger may strengthen a fighter, unbridled fury may render him a dead idiot. It's a +3 leather armor, requires attunement. As a free action once per turn, the attuned wearer may declare any creature with an intelligence of 8 or higher as their opponent. If the target does not succeed at a DC 16 intelligence saving throw, it becomes obsessed with attacking the wearer each turn. As long as the wearer does not attack any other creature, they gain an additional +2 bonus to their AC when their opponent targets them. If their opponent attacks any other creature, those attacks suffer disadvantage. This ability may only target one creature at a time. Interesting. So that's a cool ability, and this looks really nice. It'd be cool to wear that. Alright, the blind side. Many believe the legend of Armildal is but a parable. But what if the events actually occurred generations past? So I'd be curious if there's like a campaign that Session Zero Games is, a campaign setting that they have, or that they're going to release at some point. So, because there's some interesting characters they're mentioning in some of these cards. Amulet requires attunement. When the attuned wearer expends an action surge, this amulet produces a blinding pulse of light. Any creature within 30 feet of the user must make a DC 14 Dex save or be blinded until the end of their next turn. Creatures vulnerable to radiant damage suffer disadvantage on this saving throw. Okay, cool. And, this video we're going to have pretty much one of every type of gear. So here's an amulet for you. Alright, next, Hardy Beans from the Elder Tower. An aged peddler was beset by a gang of thugs. He caught my eye and pleaded, "Help!" That alone gave me reason. His attackers dispatched, he repaid me with a pouch of beans and a story of a legend of a hero in orange and black robes who rejected death itself to beat an unstoppable army in the name of righteousness. The hero bestowed these pouches of sensu beans grown in hallowed tower to those in need and left on a golden cloud. Beans, I questioned? Yet if you find this such a pouch, treasure it. So it's a pouch of beans, and it does not require attunement. 7 magical beans in there. Upon eating one, the user receives all of the benefits of an uninterrupted long rest immediately. If the bean eater has to prepare spells, they retain access to all previously prepared spells before the bean was eaten. Doesn't say whether they taste good, though. Alright, tier 4, so it's quite powerful. Now we have a T3 item, Pocket Catapult. While not as easy to carry as the Pocket Ballista, this fabled weapon was still inconspicuous and could be transported while disguised as merchandise or foodstuffs on the way to market. Such mysteries and secrets make you the director of your opponent's fate. It requires attunement. This miniature catapult can be carried on horseback or in a wagon and weighs only 50 pounds. While maintaining its tiny size, this miniature catapult remains a fully functional siege weapon, dealing normal damage. Cool. I like the miniature stuff. I saw several miniature things when I was flipping through these products. Rabbit Punch. I attended the Magnum Mercator Trade Fair, following credible intel in my pursuit of the fabled Wind's Vitality Ring. I warned old Dang Fromp, the preeminent ring vendor at the fair, that his pickpocket reputation preceded him. His true calling exposed, Fromp admitted no knowledge of the Wind's vitality, but did broker information of a cleverly named Rapid Strike relic from ages past that had turned up at a previous marketplace. That earned him a few gold coins and the ability to continue breathing. That's an interesting exchange. Ring requires attunement. While wearing this ring, the attuned user can make another attack as a free action. However, this attack does not add additional ability modifier damage. So, cool little ring. Spectral Mates, love the art on this one. It is said that only 10 of 100 soldiers are real fighters and only one of them a true warrior. Imagine if each of them could be doubled or tripled. Such fighters could crisscross the lines of engagement, bringing terror to their foes and victory to their cause. It's a +4 longsword that requires attunement. As a bonus action, the user can command 2 identical spectral blades to appear and float in the air, moving alongside the wielder. While they are present, the user may swap up to 4 points of their magical bonus from attacks damage to AC. The user may make 1 additional attack per blade each turn at their same attack bonus. Each deals 1d8 plus 2 damage, but causes the blade to lose all magical abilities until the start of the user's next turn. Cool. Alright. Warlord's Fealty. A commander should treat his troops and fighting companions as they would beloved family. That earns a loyalty far beyond a cause or camaraderie. It's plate armor that requires attunement. Once per dawn, this armor may be used to summon 6 glowing golden warriors from ages past. Oh, cool. These warriors have the same ability scores, armor class, and hit points as the summoner at the time of summoning, but they have no other abilities except making 2 attacks each round with either a longbow or a greatsword. All of their attacks count as magical. At the end of combat or after 10 turns, whichever comes first, these warriors vanish. So that's cool. You get kind of this little team that comes to help you. Got like teeth on this guy over here, or like little armor shells. It's a really cool looking armor, for sure. Alright, Wind Splitters. Only the best fighters understand that war is as much psychology as it is skill and strength. What your opponent believes you can do is more important than your actual abilities. These are pauldrons, requires attunement. The attuned user may cast Gust as a bonus action each turn. Upon expending their second wind, the attuned wearer may cast Investiture of Wind. This ability may only be used once per long rest. Cool little face on this guy. Alright, so that's it for fighters. Now we're moving on to bards. And again, these can be used and mixed with various classes on some of the items, so check that out. First we have Armor of Crowd's Delight. When your fans throw flowers after a performance, you feel protected against even the harshest critics. I had a loyal follower once, an up-and-coming sorcerer, who decided to embed that feeling literally into a suit of armor. Sweet dear, it was a bit garish for my taste. Still, I sent him a thank you written on a perfumed handkerchief. Sadly, his jealous wife discovered the note and turned him into a newt. That's a fun story. I love the look of this with the like spectral-looking roses and stuff. Very bard-like. +1 studded leather requires attunement. As a reaction to being hit by an attack, you may use one of your bardic inspiration dice to lower an attacker's final die number after the roll has been made against you. Additionally, you always smell like roses. That's awesome. I like that flavor. Yeah, so this is one of my favorites that we've looked at so far. Lots of good ones, though. And again, I'm not showing all of them. There's better ones even in there. Alright, Armor of Impersonation. Performers love to throw themselves into a role, per se, and that desire for perfection inadvertently created a powerful and well-sought armor. It is said that those donning this colorful shell can perfectly appear as anyone else or even an animal. Truly an actor's dream, perhaps, but just imagine the possibilities for misuse by those with more nefarious intent. True, that could be dangerous. +3 leather armor. While wearing this armor, you may cast the spell Seeming once per day. Additionally, you appear to change into any animal that is your same size. The effect is only illusionary. A DC 16 intelligence investigation check is needed to see through the effects, but only may be attempted if the creature doing so suspects something is amiss. Very cool colors on this. Reminds me of like something out of like He-Man, Masters of the Universe color, like that. Alright. Color of Tongues. It's tier 4 item. The professions of a bard extend far beyond musician or storyteller. Though the appearance of this fabled collar around one's neck may brand that individual a practitioner of leather fetishism, it is, in fact, the magical tool of the most expert translators in the land. They understand what you're saying. As I know too well, appearance can be deceiving. This collar, which has to be attuned, allows the user to increase their spell DC by +2 and grants the wearer the effects of the spell Tongues. Once per day, as an action, the wearer may shout at a 30-foot cone of sound that deals 4d10 thunder damage and 4d10 force damage to all living creatures and inanimate objects in its area of effect. Even magical glass objects will shatter. A DC 17 Constitution save allows for half damage if successful. Cool. So, I mean, it looks like you're kind of beholden to you're subservient if you're wearing this, but it turns out you actually can do some serious damage. Very cool. Alright, footwear of fluid grace. I found these old sandals on a used goods vendor cart. The dear elderly gnome tried to gift them to me, but I had no need for such footwear. Look again, she smiled. I suddenly held a smart pair of high heels. I have since worn them to social events and to charm my way into favorable contract negotiations. A tiefling needs all the advantage he can get to overcome certain racial bias. These sandals require attunement and automatically respond to a performer's whim and visually appear in whatever shape the wearer desires. They add +2 to charisma and allow the user to perform any dance-related checks with advantage. All saving throws made to resist the charm effects of the wearer are made at disadvantage. So it's cool. Get kind of these morphing shoes that you can use for whatever look you want. Globe of Harmony. Once thought created by a lost civilization to shine light on a moonless battlefield, this globe not only inspired fear and awe in a nocturnal enemy, but bolstered the offensive allies. Some claim it has resurfaced time and again throughout history, but under the designation of backup singer's best friend. Time truly does change all things. It's a trinket that requires attunement. This globe floats 5 feet above the attuned user at all times and grants the beneficiary +3 to all spell attacks and increases the difficulty of his spell DC by 2. When in the presence of someone performing musically or audibly, the globe produces a 30 feet radius of strong blue light that even works through magical darkness. Very cool. I like the visual of this. And, keep in mind you can give magic items to villains, to NPCs. If your characters see somebody walking up and they have this floating sort of globe, right? That's visually interesting. So keep in mind that items can go beyond players even as you're looking at these. The Loquacious. When you think you may be plagued by the talentless Dasharkian sisters, not all of us who think we are celebrities are actually celebrities, you might just be stuck talking to one of them wearing the Loquacious. Even when she's tossing back another overpriced Chateau de Wajtak, the mouth just keeps on talking. So this is a little parody item, I think, which is fun. Necklace. This pendant has the mystical ability to reach into the wearer's mind and speak for them. The lips will move and speak clearly in a language the wearer knows, allowing them to make all intimidation and persuasion checks with advantage, even if unable to personally speak. The mouth may also be used to cast spells or sing using the wearer's performance roll, even if they are not normally in order. So this is a very cool item for bards. I can see why it's in this book, but it could be good for others too. Musical sheet of symphonic intervention. Bringing people back from the dead is such an inconvenience. It's not that we can't learn the spell, but it takes an hour to cast, requires intensive background training, and is frankly exhausting for everyone involved. I don't often find myself in a position to cast such a spell, but I believe that preventing the death in the first place without proper preparation and music is a far less stressful option. It's a scroll that does not require attunement. Spending 3 full actions reading and playing this tune allows the user to cast the spell Spare the Dying outward in a 30 feet radius. The sheet does not erase itself like a scroll, but must be held and reread, replayed for 3 full actions every time the user wants to cast a spell. Memorizing it is ineffectual. Cool, so it's very bard themed with the music. It looks really cool. Sharp Tenor. The Sharp Tenor has had many names: Wicked Plucker, the Twanger, and even just Axe. Some say a barbarian once found a string instrument and, having no actual clue what it was used for, asked a dwarf to jam an axe blade into it. The design is a bit more eloquent than that, but honestly, Axe, at least a bard once handled it long enough to gift it with a unique nom de guerre. +3 hand axe. This uniquely dwarven instrument consists of a 4-string ukulele paired with a hand axe. It can be played as an instrument or wielded as a weapon, inflicting 1d6 damage. In the hands of a bard, it also serves as a spellcasting focus. This weapon increases the user's spell DC by +3, and all spell saves against the user's mind-influencing spells are made at disadvantage. Okay, nice. Alright, so that's it for the bard ones that we're showcasing. Again, that was 8 out of 51. So the next class-based magic items book we're going to look at is for druids. And we're starting with the Barkhide Shield. The blind elder druid Forit Tarnik is renowned for his crafted wooden items. He's been alive for longer than anyone can remember. He once made a handheld totem that allows its wielder to become one with nature, but he has no idea where it is. As to this item, he claims it was carved from the wood of an elder tree, but now we can't find it either. So that's fun. A little character. You might be able to work him into some of your campaigns. +2 shield. This item requires attunement. It cannot be dropped while attuned. The attuned user absorbs the shield into their arm. This hardens their skin, granting them an increase of +2 to their armor class at all times, even when sleeping, as long as the shield is attuned. Whenever actively using the shield to defend, it spreads out into the shape and size of a normal shield as a bonus action. It can return flat against the skin with a command word and grants the additional +2 armor class for a total of +4 as long as it is active. Interesting. I like the kind of transformation stuff. Bones Throw. The rocky stretch of mountainous roadway between the Enduring Kingdom and the Queen's home city-state was a treacherous journey fraught with bandits, malcontents, and kidnappers. But rather than employ stables of mounted soldiers in her defense, the Queen simply brought the castle's druid, who was adept at inscribing specific runes on animal bones. Cool. It's a consumable. When thrown using an action, it turns a 20 feet radius area of stone into molten rock for 1 hour. Creatures in the area must make a DC 18 Dex saving throw to jump out of the way or take 10d10 fire damage at the start of their next turn. The area becomes difficult terrain, and any creature passing over the area must make the same saving throw or become subject to the same damage. Creatures who end their turn in this area automatically take 10d10 fire damage at the start of their next turn. The bone is consumed after use. I like the look of it with all the little sigils on it. Call of the Swarm. The combined sons and daughters of a 5th-generation lifelong beekeeper sat around his deathbed saying their goodbyes. He lamented he couldn't somehow find a way to bid farewell to his beloved hive, too. As he gently passed, holding his family heirloom, his mystical children vowed that magic could make anything possible. Cool. It requires attunement. While worn, the amulet allows the attuned user to summon up to 6 swarms of insects. Each swarm can be commanded independently or together with an action. When commanded, they may also be used to form a bridge that can hold 1 medium-sized creature that is up to 20 foot long. Lift an object as if with a total strength of 18 +2 per swarm involved. Lift a creature as if the levitate spell with 2 or more swarms per creature lifted, or cover the user, protect them, granting a bonus +2 to their AC. These swarms will remain loyal to the user for 10 turns before dispersing and may only be summoned once per long rest. Cool, that's a fun one with all the swarms going on. Crafted Mask of the Dire Beast. While I was hunting down the whereabouts of the mysterious crafted mask of beastly guile, revered relic master DEIFIC informed me that it had a more powerful cousin crafted later with greater abilities. My instinct tells me that DEIFIC is hoping I'll find the artifact so he can take possession. Then again, we all have our own agendas to fulfill. Mine is far less selfish. It requires attunement. It can be altered with 1 hour of intense concentration by the attuned user to take on the shape of any beast that the user has seen. The mask grants 15 temporary hit points and +3 to all attack and damage rolls while using wild shape to take on the form of whatever creature this mask is carved into. Their wild shape form becomes altered to look like a dire version of this beast. Nice. Okay, I love the look of this. It's kind of intimidating looking mask. Alright, next we have Essential Tattoos of Nature's Touch. Skin marking is a magical skill from ancient times. It requires two things to impart its magic: a precise art design of the tattoo, and a skilled mystic to inscribe it. Once I find the former, I have the latter. Alright, so it requires attunement. Each tattoo may be received individually or in a set and activated independently. Activating all three requires only 2 attunement slots. The tree tattoo AC is increased by 2 and you can't be knocked prone. The river tattoo gives you base dexterity increased by 2 and gains swim speed equal to your walking speed. And the lion tattoo, your base strength is increased by 2 and gain advantage on all intimidate checks. You may unattune them at any time and simply lose their benefits. Attunement to each can be done an unlimited number of times. So I'm assuming even if you're, unattuned, the tattoo still is there, which looks cool. So that's fun. Outreach. Many powerful relics have been lost to time for the most mundane reasons. There was once a druid shopkeeper who sold incredible artifacts, but his inability to name or market them properly turned adventurers away laughing. What self-respecting explorer wants to own the squiggly ocean's staff of the tentacle? There, but for the name. So it's a +2 quarterstaff. It requires attunement. Once per short rest, the attuned user can speak a command word and extend the weapon's attack range to 15 feet by causing the staff to stretch and take on the form of a tentacle. Any creature hit by the tentacle takes an additional 3d4 poison damage and must make a DC 13 Constitution saving throw or become paralyzed for 1d3 rounds. This ability may also be used if the user is under the effects of wild shape. So, cool staff with it turns into a tentacle. Oops, skipped one. Yep. Alright. Sum of all fears. Tales of this reclaimed cloak paint it as a more gruesome item. If true, this cloak was fashioned from the humanoid skin of a once high-profile trophy hunter. He eventually began absorbing the terror he engendered, having slain so many beasts, and reveled in the panic his very presence caused. He was ultimately killed by a bad mushroom and rhubarb leaf chowder. In death, he is said to be put to better use. Alright, it's a cloak that requires attunement. It grants any who wear it the effects of the permanent fear spell as if cast by a 5th level caster that only affects humanoid creatures and the humanoid bane ability, which gives advantage on all attacks made against any humanoid creature. All critical strikes occur on a 19 to 20 unless the original is better, and all damage dealt is true damage, which cannot be soaked, absorbed, discounted, or reduced in any manner. So, a lot of stuff this does, and it's tier 4, so it's for higher level characters. Next we have VENOMFANG. The mad druid Arnex Finn was neighbor to a township that was logging a forest to the dirt and clearing the land. He devised a punishment fitting their crime, a toothsome, bloodthirsty plant he dubbed Terrasquine viniferus. It cleared the town as they had the forest. The mad druid then activated his scimitar antidote to the carnivorous plant, as it must never get loose in the wild. Decades later, a druid hunting party sought out Finn as his town-eating plant had resurfaced elsewhere. He gave them the scimitar solution, of course, and then another scimitar creation of his to offset their troubles. So it's a +4 scimitar, requires attunement, deals additional 3d4 poison damage on each hit. While in wild shape, the user's natural attacks all deal the same bonus damage. Cool. So that's it for the druids, and now we have the monk items. Remember, you can get all of these at DriveThruRPG or on session0games.com. Please click the links in the video description if you're going to go on DriveThruRPG to help the channel and also help support this creator who's been kind enough to let us share the full details of these items. So I'm really grateful. Gives us content for the channel, gives you guys some new items you can use in your game. So pay them back by buying some of these great books. All right. Deck of Reflection Relics, or as I said, it's also known as class-based magic items. Monk. Bolos of Permanent Binding. When two similar energies join forces, the world can seem transcendent, but when one seeks to bind the other to his will, the imbalance will cause her to break the restraint by any means and flee its grip. No wonder this weapon is sought after and so feared. +3 Bolo that requires attunement. This thrown weapon grants +3 to attack rolls and has a normal range of 20 and a long range of 60. On a hit, the victim takes no damage but must make a DC 18 Dex save or become restrained. On the next round, the victim can attempt to break free by making a DC 15 strength save. On each successive round of restraint, the DC increases by 2. The attuned monk can free the victim with the command word. Fire Ant Grenade. Ancient texts tell us that a great master came upon a nest of fire ants while digging a garden. Rather than destroy the nest, he learned their language and offered them the chance to fight alongside him. The pugnacious ants accepted. That's interesting. Like, most people would just get rid of the ants, but this guy was like, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to learn their language. That's kind of a cool twist. As an action, this sealed clay pot can be thrown up to 60 feet, breaking on impact. Each creature within a 20-foot radius of the impact is affected by 1d4 ants. Each ant does 1 point of piercing damage, and the creature must make a DC 13 Constitution save. On a failed save, the creature takes 1d4 poison damage per ant. Poison damage is halved on a successful save. And it doesn't require attunement, it's a consumable. Ironhide Gloves. When Sister Pugnus first came to her new mountain monastery, it was near the lair of a terrible creature. She found discarded skin the brute had shed over the years and fashioned powerful gloves which hardened her strikes. The cocky beast was shocked by her onslaught and soon fled, never to return. I saw her spar once. She had a truly nasty right cross. She's no longer with us, but the gloves still exist somewhere, I hope. So lots of fun little flavor text, and we're only reading 8 out of 51, so you can only imagine some of the other stories in here. +1 hide gloves require attunement. These gloves grant +1 AC and grant a +1 to attack and damage rolls. The Mini R1. Old Master Dern spent the last days of his life in deep meditation on the illusory nature of his life. When his time came, he expended his final reserves of Key to empower his amulet. Since then, the death of Master Dern has become a favorite teaching tale in the monastery where I grew up. It's an amulet, requires attunement. The attuned monk can store up to 3 key points in the amulet for later use. They can be used for normal key powers, or as an action, the monk can create illusory versions of herself, like a second level illusion mirror image at a cost of 1 key point per illusion. Alright. Robes of the Dawn. The gold and silver threads that embroider these beautiful silk robes are dazzling in any light, but in the first rays of dawn, they're truly breathtaking. Some might consider them a bit gaudy, but in times of great need, the winning of battle must outweigh sartorial preference, even my own. +1 robe requires attunement. These robes add +1 to your AC. Any ally within 50 feet of you at dawn is inspired and gains +5 to their base speed and makes the first initiative check of the day with advantage. They also gain temporary hit points equal to the wearer's level. So this is nice, helps the whole party. Looks cool too. Stone Bloom. Make sure no dirt is in your pocket or pouch when storing one of these. It only takes a pinch to activate its magic. Legend holds they were a gift from the earth elementals who helped found the way of the 4 elements. Although there is no way to verify this story, earth elementals to this day will recognize a stone bloom instantly. It's a magical trinket that does not require attunement. When this small stone cube touches soil, it instantly expands to a 10-foot cube. Any creature within that area suffers 2d10 bludgeoning damage. It remains enlarged until only an attuned user touches it and speaks the command word. So it's cool, and it looks mysterious too, this gray cube. Volcanic caltrops. My gnomish comrade Jasper Cobbledome once witnessed a volcanic eruption. As chunks of molten rock fell around him, he marveled at how much damage even the smallest pieces did. Having survived, he was inspired. 3 years and several lava explosions later, these caltrops were the result. Each bag of caltrops covers 30 square feet, making it difficult terrain. Anyone traversing the area must make a DC 18 dexterity save for every 10 feet traveled. If successful, he takes 1d8 fire damage and can continue moving. If failed, he must stop and take 1d8 piercing damage in addition to 1d8 fire damage, and his walking speed is reduced by 10 feet until he regains at least 1 HP. Very cool, and they look cool. It'd be interesting to just come upon these and see these and be like, what even is that? But then you would learn. Alright, the Wayfarer. Devised by nomadic monks, this weapon can be a good companion when trekking across the western sands alone. It allows for hunting, defense, and training the reflexes all while on the march. +2 throwing star requires attunement. This thrown weapon grants +2 to attack and damage rolls with a range of 60 feet. It does 1d4 force damage plus 1d6 slashing damage. Once thrown, the attuned user may choose an additional number of creatures equal to their total attacks available per turn within 20 feet of the original target and make a free attack action against that secondary target with this weapon using the original attack roll. After all attacks have been made, it returns to the thrower. Nice, okay. It looks really cool with a little symbol on it. So that's it for the monk items that we're previewing. And now we're going to talk about the class-specific magic items for barbarians. Boots of Infernal Escape. A barbarian and a wizard were imprisoned in a volcanic cave by an uncrossable moat of lava. The wizard would never survive an escape attempt, so he took a risk and exchanged a conjured set of boots with the barbarian for a promise that he would contact the wizard's apprentice if he escaped. A properly used portal potion by the apprentice proved the barbarian made good on his word. So, boots. This item requires attunement. They have 3 charges and regain 1 charge after a short rest. By expending a number of charges as a free action, you may increase your movement speed by 20 feet for 1 turn and gain the benefits of a ring of jumping. That's if you expend 1 charge. For 2 charges, you can make a full movement action as a free action and create the effects of a thunder wave spell as if cast from a level 2 spell slot at any point during your movement. And then for 3 charges, move up to 10 feet through any non-magical substance and create a body-sized hole without receiving any physical damage to yourself. So a lot of versatility to these, and they're only tier 2, so it's good. Alright, DREADSNARLST's Great Belt. Even Great Skyos appreciates the advantage bestowed by magic items. He once faced Theniel the White, who had just stolen a magic cloak from a 5th Order Ranger. The creature was assembling a magical set of items to overcome his kind's weakness against light. It was working. Only after Skyos wrested the belt from the White's possession did the set bonus dissipate, and the evil undead scurried away. Alright, requires attunement, provides armor as though it were studded leather, and provides protection from extreme weather conditions. It boosts strength and constitution by +4 and may raise these stats above 20. Okay, nice. You can get some big boosts there. And you got this cool looking belt. Exertion Stone. Despite his own illiteracy, even Skyos must admit to the power of writing. How else can one explain that a simple rock the size of a gold coin can, when carved with glyphs of tribal power, suddenly weigh as much as a fully laden small chest of treasure, or grant the ability to slough off the effects of heavy exertion? It's a magical trinket that requires attunement. When not attuned, this tiny pocket stone weighs 50 pounds. When this stone is attuned to a user, it weighs 1 pound, and the user may ignore the first level of exhaustion as if it had no effect. During combat, the user can use HP dice as an action to heal any time once per combat when they exit rage. So yes, definitely a very barbarian item. The Hammer of Fate, Oathbringer. A long-tressed barbarian once held up his precious warhammer and bragged that he was the only being capable of moving it. Skyos picked him up by the legs and threw both of them over a cliff. Subsequent owners of the hammer have been reluctant to make such boasts. +3 warhammer requiring attunement. It is possible to move this hammer unless attuned. The hammer has no specific weight but remains magically frozen in place, even hanging in the air if commanded by the attuned user. All melee attacks using this hammer deal an additional 1d10 force damage. For thrown attacks, this weapon has a 30-60 range. It will return to its wielder if thrown, or can be summoned using a command word within 60 feet. Cool. Totem of the Druidic Shaman. Though many barbarians choose to go the lone wolf route, many more have banded together to form nomadic tribes. Learning the strength of allies, these tribes include shamans to offer some mystic protection. It's a spell-focused staff, requires attunement. The attuned user gains access to 3 spells of their choice per day from the druid spell list, and may choose spells from cantrips up to 3rd level. Spells may be swapped out at dawn each day and use the spellcaster's wisdom modifier as a spellcasting ability. Alright, Treefeller. Skyos often wonders if there is truly an afterlife, and so many souls seem to be transferred into objects after a person dies. This great axe once belonged to legendary lumberjack Binya Paul. Now it appears to harbor the woodman's soul with the bonus of otherworldly power. +1 great axe of nature's bane requires attunement. When used against foes who are self-aware, It gives +1. It is a +1 attack and damage great axe. When used against any plant, beast, or wooden construct, it becomes +3. Against an animate wood, TREEFELLER bypasses all hardness or damage reduction. Vest of the Bear. Took most of the small tribe of Northfolk to hunt down a grizzly bear they described as the size of a large wagon, though Skyos claims he could have done it single-handedly. A shaman then blessed the hide to form this vest, and hopefully also rid the garment of the stench of dead mammal. +1 hide armor requiring attunement. It grants 12 temporary hit points that replenish every dawn. Once per day, you may increase your strength by 2 for 1 hour. Weighted Fury. Originally used for endurance training, the heavy shoulder pads are made of animal skins filled with rocks. Some not only respond well to the added weight during sparring, but found an almost mystic bonus to their abilities if used in actual combat. Plus, in times of fatigue, these pauldrons can be shrugged off for what feels like a renewed energy. The attuned wearer gains advantage on all constitution-related skill checks, and saving throws while worn, and extends the duration of a rage by the number of turns equal to the wearer's constitution bonus. So very good for barbarians. Alright, the last one we're going to look at is the Paladin class-specific magic items. This one I don't think is part of the bundle, so there's the bundle. All the ones we looked at before, you can get them bundled together for 30, which will have a link in the description for the bundle. And then this one's separate, and I think it's pay what you want, but I have to double check that. Alright, Amulet of Righteous Ire. Young Wilta was known for her beautiful smile until raiders razed her village, killing her intended. Her visage became so grim that those responsible would quake with fear when meeting her vengeful gaze. Traveling to her shrine to acquire one is a long but worthwhile journey for those taking the oath of vengeance. And it's an amulet that requires attunement. The wearer may expend 5 points from his Lay on Hands healing pool, then look at any creature within 30 feet. That creature must make a DC 14 wisdom saving throw or become frightened of the paladin for 1d4 plus 1 rounds, like a 3rd level illusion of fear. Divine Strike. Sir Severy was trekking the heights near the Black Spire when he was struck by lightning. He was left dazed and smoking, but otherwise unharmed. However, that heavenly bolt also empowered his rapier. The weaponsmiths of his order soon set up a forge on that very spot. So it's +1, requires attunement, gives a +1 bonus to both attack and damage rolls. Nice. Each successful strike on an enemy stores divine energy in the blade. The weapon is fully charged after the second successful strike and the next melee attack. Does an additional 1d8 radiant damage. If the combat ends before the third blow is landed, the energy dissipates harmlessly. So if you want a rapier, this is a good option. Paladin's Missile. My half-elf father, Tychomus, told me that being chosen by the Athenaeum of Cedro to read this manual was the highest honor of his career. Unfortunately, the task that followed was almost certainly a suicide mission. It does not require attunement. After a paladin spends 48 hours over up to 6 days studying the book's contents and practicing its guidelines, roll 1d6. 1, no effect. 2 or 3, increase chosen ability score by 1. 4 or 5, increase chosen ability score by 2. 6, increase chosen ability score by 2, and increase the lowest ability score by 2. Nice. When increasing an ability, the paladin's maximum score for that ability increases by the same amount. After reading the book, loses its magic, but regains it after a century. So it's kind of, limited in that you can only use it that once, but it could be super valuable. Alright, next we have Spellbreaker Shield. I had this one. It was in my grasp. Despite its value, while traveling with the halfling rogue Cypher, this famed relic disappeared. The rogue claimed we were both victims of culture-thieving mutrifs, who teleport and steal valuables and escape. Cypher's own valuables turned up missing. The next day, however, so did he. +1 Shield. Requires attunement. The shield gives the attuned paladin an additional +1 to AC. Additionally, he may cast the 3rd level Abjuration counterspell by expending 1 hit die from his resting pool. It's cool looking. I like the little sort of beads or chains hanging off of it. Starbright. Lord Bedivere was a friend of my family, so I often heard this tale. After he was made Warden of Great Sepulture, he arrived at his new post to discover this morning star along with the note, "When the dead walk, defenders of righteousness must put them back to rest. Good luck." Oh, he must have had a time with that. +3 Morningstar. This Morningstar gives a +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls. In addition to normal piercing damage, it also does 1d8 radiant damage or 2d8 against undead foes. Also, the wielder can will the weapon to emit an aura that affects all undead within a 60-foot radius. Affected creatures make all saving throws with disadvantage against spells or abilities that cause radiant damage. It's cool. Starbright. Valorous Steel. This enchanted sword was forged to turn skill into inspiration, perfect for the paladin. It was long held in the armory of Campania del Corazon, who believe that the mightiest are those who by acts of valor lead others to greatness as well. +1 Greatsword. Upon a successful attack with this weapon, a golden aura surrounds the paladin in a 15-foot radius and lasts until the end of the next turn. For the duration, friendly creatures within the radius may add the paladin's proficiency bonus to their attack rolls and saving throws and skill checks, while the paladin doubles his proficiency bonus on attack rolls, saving throws, and skill checks. Wow, that is a lot of stuff. But that's good. That's what you want. Magic item does good stuff for you. Wrath of the Heavens. This armor allows the Oathbound to speak with the electric might of the gods. Naturally, upon creation, it soon fell into the hands of a necromancer who locked it away for many decades. After I ended his progress toward Lictum, I liberated this fine shoulder armor, although with several other shocking items from his hoard. Requires attunement. Once per long rest, the attuned wearer may, as an action, strike all creatures he designates within a 30-foot radius with lightning. Targets failing a DC 16 dexterity save take 66 damage. On a successful save, they take half damage. Alright, this is the last one in the cards that we're going to look at. Zur Shaddai's Armor of Holy Ichor, Zealot's Prayer. It's a paladin class item. Foes wrapped in a dark intent often use the element of surprise against those who would oppose them. Zur Shaddai had seen too many allies ambushed or betrayed. In his quest for armor blessed by the blood of the gods, he prayed that his sight would remain keen for both the visible and those who lay in wait to perform their misdeeds. Does not require attunement. Once per day for 10 minutes, the wearer can detect the location of any aberrational, celestial, elemental, fey, fiendish, or undead creatures, as well as magically consecrated or desecrated areas within 300-foot radius. If used with any other paladin class item, the wearer may cast the 3rd level evocation, mass healing word once per day. See paladin set card for details of the full class set bonus. That's cool. I like the detection stuff. That's really fun, and this looks awesome. Like wearing that would really be fun. So as I said, this is all of the print and play cards. We're going to look next at a book from Session Zero Games. Again, please buy these through the links in the video description. Helps the channel, helps the creator who's been kind enough to let us basically reveal the full stats for these items, these 64 items that we're going to cover in this video. So please thank them with a purchase, supporting their work. This is hard work. I make these kind of books, they make these kind of books, and we're not supported by a big corporation, so really could use your support. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. Lastly, we're going to talk about a book from Session Zero called The Tome of Magical Mystery. This book has over 200 different magic items for use in your game by various classes. The ones we've looked at before were kind of had a preference for a class, but this one has a range of items for any class. So the first is Amulet of Farsight. It's got a cool little quote here, and it's requires attunement, but it's really a protective case that holds 3 colored monocles. Each lens gives a different benefit to the wearer. The red lens gives you 120 feet of dark vision, including magical darkness. Blue lets you see into the ethereal plane for 120 feet. Green allows you to see invisible creatures and objects. And the red plus the blue gives you X-ray vision for 5. Using all 3 at once provides true sight for 1 hour before giving the wearer eye strain and face cramps. So don't want to wear that too long. And Angelic Armor, +3 half-plate armor, AC 18 total, requires attunement. The wearer of this armor is immune to exhaustion, magical charm effects, and cannot be frightened by any means. They also always know when a lie is being told and may cast the spell Storm of Vengeance without concentrating or suffering negative effects. Wearing this armor with any other piece of the angelic set makes all pieces count as one piece for attunement purposes. So yeah, there's some set bonuses and stuff in this book as well, so it's quite interesting. Crystal Skull of Insight. It says, a dryad's trust runs deep through the roots of the forest. Anything not physically entwined with the soil is treated as unwelcome. How was it, then, that a great worm disguised as a man was able to work his way into her heart with magic and a great amount of guile? So it does not require attunement. It's cursed, appearing to the user as a scrying device that communicates by telepathy. However, the user is only shown what he or she wants to see. Only by coincidence does this ever compare to actual reality. So that's an interesting... So there's some cursed items in here as well. And they actually have a whole book on cursed items that looks really cool. I definitely want to get that one. Alright, Everflowing Robes. From the far tribes of the East, these honored garments are passed down to those with the talent to truly mesmerize with their undulating form. Their patterns seem to shift and turn of their own volition. The curves and angles of the body become hypnotic and in some cases cause nausea. It's +1 AC. As a standard action, the wearer may flourish and cause any creature within 5 feet, which is actively paying attention, to make a DC con save or become nauseated until the end of their next turn. Attuned wearers may cast Disguise Self at will with a required intelligence investigation DC 14 to recognize the illusion. Users may not flourish while the spell is active. It's a cool looking robe here. Next we have another robe called Infinity Cloak. Darkness may hold the key to all the answers that you seek. Simply reach inside, therein lies whatever you need. Go on, throw it over your shoulders and feel the cool infinite embrace. Just make sure that your head clears the cloak, lest you find yourself lost. And it requires attunement. The wearer of this cloak may reach into the darkness inside and store or retrieve any item that will fit past its opening. Only one living creature can be stored at a time, though 20 square feet of room exists to store inanimate items. Time and space inside are frozen. Living creatures may exist indefinitely. So lots of interesting possibilities with that. Put enemies in there, you could put somebody on death's door in there. Lots of options. Lion's Eyepatch, once worn by famed mercenary Captain Dorganon. This patch was thought to have been retired along with its master, though it resurfaced after many years in the possession of a young man who claimed to be Dorganon III. It was lost during a tavern dice game. Uh-oh. Not how you want to lose stuff. Eyepatch. Whoever wears this patch gains advantage on all perception checks and dark vision of 30 feet. If they previously had dark vision, it extends an additional 30 feet for a maximum of 60 feet. The back of the patch swirls with a starry sky. Cosmic energy seeps into the eye or socket of any that dons it. After being worn for a week, the eye will move on its own. Wow, so this little symbol here will move on its own. That's interesting. Master Keylock, a cruel and vicious prison guard, was cursed by a powerful priestess. His soul is said to be trapped in this key ring, which unleashes his prisoners for whomever turns the keys. This key ring has 13 keys. 3 times per day, you may use any of the keys to open any door, but once you use a specific key, you may not use it again for 3 days. If you attempt to use that key before it restores, it is destroyed. As an alternate use, if you turn the key twice on the same lock, you summon one of the following allies to your side: Archmage, Assassin, Berserker, Druid, Gladiator, Mage, Knight, Priest, Spy, Veteran, Scout, Guard, or Cultist. I'm assuming those are the NPC stat blocks in the Monster Manual. Although this book, I will tell you, it does have some really cool monsters, and I think it has 3 or 4 monsters at the end of it too. Spear of Light. This is the last one we're going to look at from this book. Beneath the realms of man, the Fae infuse the world with motes of light and baubles of brilliant arcane radiance. True beauty and a fearful misunderstanding of their true power make the fairy folk formidable foes, though rarely seen by mere mortals. It's a +3 spear, and it does not require attunement. When not attuned, the spear acts only as a +1 spear that causes all foes damaged by it to be surrounded by fairy fire for 10 turns. However, attuned users gain the full +3 bonus and may cast a 50-foot sphere of fairy fire at will, automatically ending all invisibility effects without saving throws if they enter the area of the sphere's influence. So that's cool. It has like a effect if you're attuned and an effect if you're not. So that's nice. I like when items have that. So I hope you've enjoyed all these sneak peeks at some of the books Session Zero has to offer. Thank you, Session Zero, for sending them to us to look at. It's been a lot of fun poking through these and looking at all the different items with the beautiful art. And I definitely think it's worth checking it out on DriveThruRPG. We've got links in the video description. If you click on those, that supports the channel. Also, you can buy our book, which is linked in the video description. And please subscribe to the channel. Please click the like button. All those things help out a lot. And until next time, happy adventuring.